Howdy, everyone. Matt here. I got a question for you. Looking back, would you have rather been a personal trainer rather than a PT? Let's talk about it. All right, everyone. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am Matt the PT, coming at you with another video, another topic of something from the physical therapy world. But first off, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much. And if you do feel so obliged, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a copay, and it helps out the channel. But getting right in on this, because I've seen this thing come up several times about PT saying, if I knew what I knew now, where I am, I would become a personal trainer. Okay. I would have just gotten the certification, the CSCS, and just done that to help people. And I think that is inherently flawed thinking. Okay. Now, I'm not bashing personal trainers. They do great work. Okay. I think every physical therapist should have a group of personal trainers in their area with all, the different areas of people that they would take as clients. Because once somebody finish up with PT, hey, I want to keep you moving, exercising. Good. Let me send you over to this personal trainer. And I think personal trainers should have some physical therapists in their call, in their speed dial. Go, hey, my client hurt their back, hurt their knee. They're having this pain. Can I send them over to you? You take a look at them. How can we rehab them back? Because, hey, I can evaluate you. We're communicating. We're talking about what to do to get this person back. It could be a great team. But like I said, seeing this thing where people are like, well, I would, doing the personal training thing, it would have been way easier than doing the PT thing because I wouldn't have had all this student loan debt. I could just help people. I could just do this thing. And like I said, it's inherently flawed thinking. First off, hindsight's 2020. Okay. Hindsight's 2020. Oh, if you could go back in time, okay. We really say, if people say, I'd go back in time and not be a PD. No. You would go back in time and play the lotto numbers that hit the mega millions. Okay. If you could do that, that is what you would actually do. But there's some things to really, really keep in mind whenever someone starts saying that stuff. Okay. Because you're basing that off of all your knowledge and understanding of everything about the human body, exercise, physiology, and all that, off of what you learned through physical therapy school and becoming a physical therapist, going through all of that. So would you be at the same spot with your knowledge if you had not gone to physical therapy school at this point? Okay. Think about that. Okay. Honestly, think about it. You would not have had the same education and experiences to get you where you are today to understand things. Okay. Oh, now I know what you're saying. Well, I could have just taken some coursework and read some books and stuff like that. Cool. Yes, you could have. But let me ask you this question. Again, without the knowledge and everything that you've gained through school and your experience as a PT, how would you have been able to discern what is actually good, relevant knowledge and what's garbage? Where is this the truth sprinkled in with some fabrication that makes things look all nice and fancy and great? Really? How would you do that? Well, I would have read studies. How would you know how to break down those studies? How would you know to all this stuff? How would you know to actually logically break down and understand things? Okay. And not fall for stuff. I mean, like, look at the functional patterns things. They get people all the time who think they know everything and that just talk out of their rear end. There's a little bit of truth sprinkled in there. There's a little bit in there, but how would you know of what they're saying, of what is actually true, what's maybe kind of twisted, maybe something's fabricated? How would you have known all that? Really, honestly, again, it would have taken you time and effort, and you had to work through all of that to understand what is true. How long would that have taken you to do really all of that? Now, if we get into the nitty gritty about being a personal trainer, okay, and that's when everybody talks about stuff like this, I always point out hey, we need to understand the backstory of the job and some of the things that go about with it. So it really looks like when people say that I would rather be a personal trainer, it doesn't really it doesn't sound like they would really be a trainer who works for like a big box place. Are you going to be working for Planet Fitness or Crunch or LA Fitness, or what? Are you going to work for those big places like that? Are you just going to be the staff trainer that works there? Probably not. Probably because you're not going to make a lot of money. Honestly, you're not. You're going to work staff, and you're going to be limited, and the club is going to get most of the money. That club is going to get most of the money, whatever they charge, and you're going to get paid an hourly wage. Okay, they may be paying $75 a session or $100, and you're getting paid $20 an hour. That's about a rough what I saw when I looked it up. 17, like $25 an hour. So we'll say 20ish. Okay, so you're going to get paid $20 an hour to do all that? Are you going to, no, man, I'm going to have my own studio. Okay. So you're going to be doing like, again, however you set your business up, but you got to rent the space and you got to do all that. Yeah, cool. You want to be on your own, do it. Perfect. Hey, great. That's what you should be doing. But here's the thing that you have to keep in mind. What are your hours going to be? What kind of hours are you going to work? Like truly, you're starting out, what kind of hours are you going to work? If you talk to trainers, they're going to people want to come early. People, you'll be getting up at 3:30 in the morning, be there for somebody at 4:30 in the morning. Okay. You're going to be working through the morning. People don't want to come during the day. Not a lot of people come during the day. And then you're going to have to be at the tail end of it. So you can be working early in the morning and later in the evening. I get off work, I'm going to come and train. So are you willing to be working those hours like that? Okay. Are you really willing to work all that? Again, you got to think about these things. You got to think about these things. Okay. You got to think about it. And again, if you're renting space from somewhere, you're going to have to pay them a fee to work there, to use their space. You're going to have to pay them. So whatever that you charge. Think about if you're not working, if people aren't coming in, are you getting paid? Yeah, people can pay for up front. They can pay for all the sessions and all that stuff. But I've talked to trainers that deal with people all the time that want to cancel stuff. You can lose it to another trainer down the road because, well, maybe that trainer, they do a little bit of fancier stuff. Yet you use the evidence-based stuff. Well, that's not as flashy. You don't have me twirling bands and, jumping up on this stuff and doing all this stuff that's like, well, that's more fancy than anything. It's not really actually going to help you achieve your goals. We're in here doing the squats and doing the bench press, and we're doing this focused and making sure your nutrition is on track. But they're doing this fancy. Well, I'm going to go try that. And if you ain't got people coming through the door, you ain't making any money. Okay. So keep up with that. And here's a big one. This is the biggest one I always have pointed out to people, is that the difference between being a physical therapist and about any other thing someone else says, how quickly could you get a job? Honestly, to pay your bills. How quickly could you get a job? If you were just a personal trainer, you got to maybe hope that there's a big gym nearby. How much are you going to get paid an hour? Like I said, 17, 20, 25 bucks an hour. Okay. Is that going to cover a lot of bills? Just doing that I can go into those places and get a job. But as a physical therapist, how quickly could you get a job? You could get a hold, how many phone calls you get a day from recruiters for home health or hospitals? I'll never forget, before I got married, my father-in-law, future father-in-law at the time, asked me, he said, how are you going to provide for my daughter? Which I understand. You want to understand, hey, how are you going to take care? How are you going to be able to provide? I'm looking out for my daughter. And I said, well, with this license, once I get with my degree, with my license, I can walk into a hospital or anywhere and say, I have a license to practice in this state. Do you have a job? And I will be honest, it may not be a job that I would like. It may not be in the setting that I would like. It may not be the hours that I like, but dadgummit, I could get a pretty good paying job. And I've had to do that a couple times. Some stuff has come up and I had to get a job on the fly, and they hired me so incredibly fast. It was able to make a high enough wage, being PRN or part-time or what have you, that it could cover my bills like that. Okay. Very easy to do that. Again, think about how easy that is to get that job. And if you need something, how much easier it is as a physical therapist to get a good paying physical therapy job. Again, I'm not saying that it's in the setting or the whatever, or the demographic or anything that you want or that you like, but it's a job that would pay you enough money to do that. Okay. Now, kind of the final things, think about the burnout. Personal trainers actually have a pretty high burnout rate. Everyone, again, it's always with the stuff with the grass is greener. Oh, I would just be training people and just doing all that. It'd be great. But when it's the most interesting thing to talk to trainers. They deal with some of the same stuff that we do. People not wanting to do it. Well, this stuff looks better over here. I don't believe this information that you're telling me. I'm going to do this. No, I just don't want to do. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do it. And they get burned out and tired. Okay. And also, you're probably not getting paid very much anyway. So they got a pretty high burnout rate. I think I saw something like 80% quit in the first 2 years. Okay. Really. So whenever I see people like that, it's like, yeah, the hindsight on it's 2020. Yeah. If I could just take all of this knowledge that I gained over the years, of course I would do this thing. But like I said, you wouldn't have that knowledge. You would have never had any of those experiences. You never would have gained any of that if you had said, nope, I'm not going to go down that path. I'm going to do this one. It's so easy to do that. So many people say, oh, I would have rather done that. Again, you would have never had the knowledge. I kind of look at it with like the Stoic philosophy of it. It's like, it's happened. You've already went through it. Okay, you accept it. This stuff has already happened. It's already there. It's all there. Handle it. Go forward. Make it a better world. Make it a better profession. Help lower the cost of school. You don't have to wait for the APTA. You don't have to do that. You can get on board and researching and getting your representatives, getting your spouse, your significant other, your partner, your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, nephews, nieces, best friend, people that you don't like, your neighbors, your patients, your side piece, whomever can all help you get on board. You can get at least 5 or 6 people that would say, hey, you know what? I like you enough to help you in trying to help lower the cost of school. Because I have no people that are dealing with that. Yes. And get in with wages. You can, again, help with that fight with the wages. You can do all this stuff. Like I keep saying, the people that just want the APTA to do it, they want the APTA to be their daddy. They want the APTA to be their daddy to take care of them. They want daddy APTA to take care of me. That's how they are. But anyway, whenever I see that, it just kind of makes me chuckle. Yeah, it just starts this big conversation and blah, blah, I would have done it, blah, blah, blah. But again, you wouldn't be there. Hindsight's 2020. Let me know your thoughts. Your opinions, your beliefs. Let me know all that down in the comments. Do you when you see that, do you think, yeah, they're kind of being silly? No, I could have kind of done that. No, yeah, you're right. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe whatever. Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a copay or anything. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your patients. I'll see you then.